Let me ask you something. When was the last time you made a choice that felt right deep in your gut, even if it wasn't easy? In a world that constantly rewards shortcuts, applause over substance, and comfort over truth, the real edge, the real power is living with integrity. You don't need more tricks. You don't need to pretend. You need to reconnect to who you really are. Today we're talking about something that will outlast your resume, your titles, even your wealth. Living a life of integrity. Are you ready to stop negotiating with your soul? Step 1. Integrity is doing what's right even when no one's watching. It's the quiet voice in your heart that knows the difference between right and wrong and chooses right, not for recognition, not for applause, but because it's the truth. It's the decision to take responsibility for your actions when it would be easier to shift the blame. It's returning the extra change when the cashier makes a mistake. It's speaking the truth even when it costs you comfort, approval, or position. It's honoring a commitment you made even when your emotions have changed or no one is around to hold you accountable. You don't need a spotlight to do the right thing. In fact, the most meaningful acts of integrity happen in complete silence when nobody else will ever know. That's where your character is forged. That's where the real work happens. It's in the split second where you're tempted to cut a corner, tell a white lie, take the easy out, and you choose to stand tall instead. It's the strength to hold yourself to a higher standard when no one else will see and no one else will care except you. Because integrity isn't about how others see you, it's about how you see yourself. It's about earning your own respect in private before expecting it in public. It's the foundation that every truly great life is built on. When you live this way, when you hold the line even in secret, you become someone unshakable. Not because you're perfect, but because you've made the decision to be solid when no one's keeping score. Step 2. Your values are your compass. Stop trading them for approval. At the core of who you are, beneath all the roles you play and the expectations placed on you, lie your values. These are the non-negotiables, the principles that define what truly matters to you: honesty, respect, courage, loyalty, compassion. They are not trends. They are not borrowed from social media or shaped by popular opinion. They are rooted in your deepest sense of right and wrong and the kind of person you were meant to be, not the person others want you to become. But too often we betray those values in the pursuit of something fleeting: approval, applause, validation. We say yes when we mean no. We stay silent when something needs to be said. We shape-shift to fit in, to be liked, to avoid conflict. And in doing so, we slowly drift off course. Because the moment you start choosing what's convenient over what's consistent with your values, you lose your way. You start handing out pieces of yourself just to feel accepted. But acceptance built on compromise isn't real, it's fragile. And it demands more and more of you until you don't recognize yourself anymore. Living by your values isn't always easy. It won't always win you followers or approval. But values are not about convenience. They are about direction. They are your inner compass when the world gets noisy, when pressure mounts, when people try to sway you with promises or praise. And the truth is, no amount of outside validation can replace the peace that comes from staying true to yourself. When you sacrifice your values for the sake of pleasing others, you might gain temporary connection, but you lose the deeper connection with your own soul, with your own truth. And that kind of loss shows up in ways you can't hide. It shows up in the mirror. It shows up when you're alone with your thoughts. It shows up when the noise fades and the crowd moves on. Step 3. Every choice you make is a vote for the person you want to become. You're not just making decisions, you're casting ballots in the election of your own identity. Every action, no matter how small, shapes the trajectory of who you're becoming. You're either reinforcing the best version of yourself or drifting further from it. It's not about big, dramatic moments, it's about the micro decisions, the ones you barely notice. Do you hit snooze or get up and move? Do you tell the truth or twist it just a little? Do you act with kindness or with indifference? These moments accumulate. They build habits. And over time, those habits form the blueprint of your character. You don't become disciplined, honest, compassionate, or strong in one grand leap. You build those traits through repetition, one decision at a time. If you want to be someone who's reliable, then every time you keep your word, even when it's inconvenient, you're voting for that identity. If you want to be courageous, then every time you lean into discomfort or face fear instead of running from it, you're affirming that vision of yourself. These choices aren't random, they're identity building. And what makes them powerful is that they're within your control. You don't have to wait for a big breakthrough or some life-changing event to shift your identity. You just have to start showing up differently now in the small things. Because each time you choose to act in alignment with the person you aspire to be, you're reinforcing that belief, strengthening that muscle, casting another vote. And the more you vote, the more that identity becomes real, not in theory, but in practice. Not just in your mind, but in the way others experience you. The kind of person you want to be isn't just an idea, it's a pattern built from daily decisions. Step 4. Integrity attracts trust, and trust builds influence. At the heart of every meaningful relationship, every lasting reputation, every true form of leadership is trust. And trust isn't given blindly, it's earned through consistency, through honesty, through behavior that matches words. People don't trust perfection, they trust transparency. They trust someone who owns their mistakes, who tells the truth even when it's uncomfortable, who stands by their values even when it's inconvenient. That kind of integrity is magnetic because in a world full of masks, manipulation, and hidden agendas, someone who is solid and unwavering becomes rare, and people gravitate toward what is rare. Integrity means you become someone others can count on, not because you always say what they want to hear, but because they know you say what's real. They know that behind closed doors, you're the same person you are in public. They know your handshake means something. They know that your actions don't shift with the winds of popularity or pressure. And that reliability builds a sense of psychological safety around you. People feel safe with someone they can trust, and in that safety, they open up, they connect, they follow. That's where influence begins. Not with loudness or charisma, but with character. True influence doesn't come from titles, followers, or how well you speak. It comes from how consistently you live. It comes from showing up the same way time after time, regardless of the spotlight. And the more people trust your integrity, the more weight your words carry. The more doors open, not because you push them, but because others want to walk through them with you. Influence rooted in trust lasts longer and reaches deeper than any influence built on manipulation or hype. Because when people know you stand for something, when they know your principles don't bend for convenience, they start to believe in you. Not just in what you do, but in who you are. Step 5. Without integrity, success is a hollow victory. You can reach the top of the mountain, collect all the trophies, the recognition, the applause, but if you had to compromise your core values to get there, the win won't feel like a win at all. On the outside, everything might look polished: money in the bank, a respected title, the validation of others, but inside, something will always feel off. That's because success in its truest form isn't just about achievement, it's about alignment. It's about knowing that you didn't have to become someone you're not to get what you have. When you sacrifice integrity for results, you might gain short-term rewards, but you lose something far more valuable: your peace, your self-respect, your ability to look in the mirror without flinching. Success without integrity is like building a beautiful house on a cracked foundation. It might stand for a while, but it's unstable, vulnerable, destined to crumble the moment life puts pressure on it. And the truth is, people know. When corners are cut, when the story doesn't match the facts, when the praise comes from a version of you that isn't real, the celebration feels empty. Because deep down, we're wired for authenticity. We want our wins to mean something. We want to be proud not just of what we accomplished, but of how we did it. When that's missing, no amount of accolades or status can fill the void. The emptiness shows up in quiet moments when the crowd is gone and the noise fades. It creeps in as doubt, as guilt, as disconnection from yourself. And what's the point of achieving everything if it costs you your integrity? What's the point of reaching the finish line if you can't feel proud of the road you took to get there? The real measure of success isn't just how high you climb, but whether you stayed true to yourself on the way up. Step 6. Living with integrity isn't always easy, but it's always worth it. Choosing integrity often means choosing the harder path. It means telling the truth when lying would be easier, faster, and more convenient. It means standing up for what you believe in when others sit in silence. It means honoring commitments even when your mood changes or no one would know if you backed out. There will be moments when integrity feels like a burden, when it costs you opportunities, relationships, status, or approval. You might be misunderstood. You might feel isolated. You might have to walk away from things that once mattered to you because they no longer align with who you truly are. That kind of honesty, that level of self-respect requires courage. It's not glamorous. It doesn't always come with applause. And sometimes people won't get it. They might call you stubborn, difficult, or idealistic. But living with integrity means you've decided to stop outsourcing your sense of direction. It means your internal compass leads the way, not public opinion or pressure. It's a commitment to consistency between what you believe and how you behave. And that kind of consistency builds something rare, real confidence. Not the loud, performative kind, but the quiet, grounded kind that comes from knowing your life is a reflection of your truth. When you live with integrity, you give yourself the gift of self-trust. You don't have to second-guess your motives or wonder who you become. You're not tangled in lies, regrets, or the weight of pretending. You sleep better. You think clearer. You feel lighter, because you're no longer carrying the burden of being someone you're not. And even when it's hard, even when it costs you something in the short term, the long-term reward is deep, lasting fulfillment. It's the knowledge that you didn't sell yourself out for approval or convenience. It's the rare peace that comes from knowing that no matter what life throws at you, you showed up with honesty, with honor, and with heart. So here's what I want you to take with you. Your integrity is not a weakness. It's your greatest strength. In a world that constantly tries to pull you in 100 different directions, you get to choose who you are. Not by what you say, but by what you do day in and day out. You won't always get it perfect. None of us do. But you can always come back to your values. You can always reset your compass. And the moment you choose truth over comfort, alignment over approval, and purpose over pressure, that's the moment you take your power back. Live in a way that makes you proud when no one's watching. Be someone your future self would thank. Because when you live with integrity, you don't just build a life, you build a legacy. And that is always worth it.